been a while.
All right, everybody ready? Yes, sir. I call to order the City of New Bern Planning and Zoning Board meeting for May 15th, 2025. If you can and are willing, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to our country. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thanks. Kendrick, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Starting off with Board Member Kyle Deary.
Here.
Board Member Danielle Peoples.
Here.
And then Board Member Kip Paragoy. Just let the record show he is absent. Chairman Brad Jefferson.
Here.
And Vice Chairman Rusty Ingram. And just let the record show he is also absent. Board Member Kelly Kaiser.
Here.
Board Member Thomas Brownell.
Here.
And Board Member Marshall Ballard. And let the record show he's also absent. And Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Kendrick. The agenda's got some changes here. Would you like to make any comments on that before we approve?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. These first two items that you see here were technically they're being withdrawn by the applicant, which one of them being ourselves. Essentially, those will be brought back at a later date, potentially. And then the third item there for number C regarding the subdivision. Previously, a text amendment was passed by the Board of Aldermen. Most recently, I believe it was Tuesday or Monday. I apologize on the date. But basically what that means is it brings it back to an administrative level, so you will not be hearing that item either. So that's why the striking is there.
All right. Thank you, Kendrick. Do I have a motion on the agenda?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda for this evening.
Second.
And just to be clear, Mr. Chair, that motion is to approve the agenda less items A, B, and C.
Yes, approve the agenda, redacting the items A, B, and C.
All right. I have a motion, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Just a quick thing tonight in my chairman's remarks. Tonight is Kyle Deering's last meeting with us. We're all very sad to see him go. Kyle brought a lot of kind of a different view on things to the board. He comes from kind of an IT background, which is kind of more of my background, less of a planning background, and I thought that was good for this board. And hopefully in the future we get some public interest with someone else who would like to sit on that could carry similar things. And I just want to say thanks for being a part of the board and for getting on the parking committee and all that stuff. And so, if anybody watching or anything would like to join the Planning and Zoning Board, please reach out to the city clerk. And with that, we'll move on to item D, the Land Use Ordinance Text Amendment for the Greater Five Points Redevelopment Overlay. Kendrick, do you have a brief for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good evening to the board. And I'm going to start off with this first text amendment. This is text amendment 003-088-2025. This is for the Redevelopment Commission. And also just to let you know, we do have essentially personnel, or at least the person specific to this amendment, to speak on it as well. I'm just going to give you a surface overview. And that gentleman can also, Mr. Zeb, okay, just want to make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Zeb, he'll give you kind of more detail if you need to and answer any questions that you might have.
Okay.
So the request summary, the Applicant Redevelopment Commission of New Bern, and the synopsis here, the proposed amendment is a revision of the dimensional and density requirements within the Greater Five Points Redevelopment Overlay. This is the RDC boundary, essentially. And just the sections to be amended, the section, it's 15-487, and this is the establishment of the Greater Five Points Redevelopment Overlay District. I'm going to try to not struggle with that word there, but promulgation of use and design standards. And basically, there's some reference slides, as always, with these text amendments that we bring before you. So any information or any redlining that you want to key in on specifically, this is just for you to reference back to that point if necessary. But most questions I'll most likely defer to our Assistant City Attorney here, Ms. Jamie. But if the board has questions for myself, I will try to take those at this time. And just real quick, staff does not have any concerns with the changes that are being proposed.
Board have questions for Kendrick?
Kendrick, as part of the Renew Bern effort, I know that there was some overlap between the historical district and the redevelopment district. Does this in any way help address that, or is that a completely separate thing still on the table?
I'll be honest, I believe that's completely separate in some ways. You are correct, though, there is some overlap. I don't know that it really has any validity here necessarily, but I'll probably let Mr. Zepp speak more on that in case that he wants to kind of.
This is completely independent, just to weigh in on this. I think it'd be appropriate to hear from the applicant, however.
Yep. That'd probably be the best idea.
Any other questions for Kendrick? No. All right. Come on up, sir.
I don't need to click her unless you want me to click something. Good evening, everybody. How you guys doing? Good. You guys are very formal. My commission is very much less formal, so I apologize. I'm going to be much less formal than you're used to. Basically, the text amendment is a corrective measure so that we're more accurately addressing the heart and spirit of the redevelopment plan as it was meant to be when it was drafted. As the overlay sits now, it only relaxes the setback for the R6 zone, and so there's only one specific residential use that can be developed in the redevelopment district. What we're proposing is that we expand that so that the setbacks apply to a lot more residential uses so that we can attract more residential development in the redevelopment district, thus reinvesting in the district, which is why my commission exists. Does that make sense? So, it's pretty straightforward.
Cool. Does anybody have any questions for Zip? No? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. I'll open up discussion of the board.
I'll make a motion that we approve the text amendment,
All right. I have a motion.
or recommend approval of the text amendment.
And the adoption of a consistency statement.
And the adoption of a consistency statement.
Very good.
All right. So your motion is that it is consistent and to recommend it to the Board of Aldermen?
Yes.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on to item number E, the land use text amendments for the Broad Street corridor.
Mr. Chairman, this next text amendment is 003-089-2025, and this is specific to building height overlays. So the applicant here is the city of New Bern, and the synopsis just briefly. The proposed amendment is to convert height calculations from stories to feet, and also set the maximum building height for the Broad and Queen Street overlay, the corridor, at 60 feet. And then lastly, to remove building design elements consistent with MCGS 160D-702. And sections to be amended, excuse me, I'm not going to read all of these. These are more specific to all the overlay districts, but I'll read the sections specifically. But 15-462, 463, 465, 466, 467, 493, and 494. And I'll leave that on the screen just so you can see what districts they correspond with. And again, we just have a lot of reference information pertaining to the text amendment. Anything that you see that you may have questioned or you do have questions about, can absolutely go back and at least put that slide before you all. So just kind of roll through some of these, and if you have questions, feel free to stop me. And staff does not have, again, any concerns with the proposed changes. But if the board has any questions, I'll try to take those at this time.
Board questions?
I have one. Is there any structures right now over 60 feet?
That is a great question. I wish I could give you a definitive. There may be. I just don't have anything that.
Will they be grandfathered in?
Yes, sir. Any structure that might be more than 60 feet would be considered an existing non-conforming situation. However, I'm not aware of any structure that would be impacted by the Broad Street, Queen Street overlay that exceeds 60 feet.
Okay.
And Kendrick, the intention of this is just to have more specificity with having the assumed story height
Yes.
calculated in feet.
There's some places actually that have stories and then some that have feet. It's more so for consistency so that everything is very clear.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Peoples, to that point, that is one portion of the text amendments that are being proposed today. I just want everyone to be clear that there's also some amendments to design standards that are in our various entrance corridors, overlays, as well as neighborhood conservation districts. And essentially what is being proposed is striking design guidelines that would otherwise be unenforceable. That way, when people read our code, they can have an appreciation for what the rules are in light of 160D and removing some of that legacy language that should not be present.
Any further questions? Okay, hearing none. We did have a gentleman come in. Do you have any, often we ask for public comment. Does anybody have a comment on this item? You do, okay.
Well, not on this.
Not on this item? That's the only item we're talking about, right? We're talking about item D of the agenda. No?
And Mr. Chairman, he's actually going to provide public comment towards the end. I do apologize that it probably didn't inform you, but I do have public comment listed at the very end.
Okay.
And I believe that's where that gentleman's.
Roger that. We'll have you in there, no problem. Okay, what is the board's pleasure on this item?
I motion that we, one, adopt a consistency statement. This item is consistent and we recommend to the Board of Aldermen to approve the amendment changes.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to adopt the consistency statement, that it is consistent and to recommend for the, to the Board of Aldermen. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. We got the mics too loud here. I know there were some complaints, but now I'm getting feedback. Let's move to item F, Land Use Ordinance Text Amendment to establish the density calculation for the commercial C4 zoning district.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the last item here is text amendment 003-101-2025. This is specific to the commercial 4 or C4 density for the text amendment. And again, the applicant is the city of New Bern. And essentially, the synopsis here, the proposed amendment will establish the density calculation for the commercial 4 zoning district as it pertains to the multifamily use. Currently, we just don't have one that's readily available or ready to read. So it's clarification and also establishing that to make things easier. And the section specifically is 15-181, residential density. And once again, we just have some reference information just to show specifically on the next slide here, it's actually got the red to kind of explain to you what's being put in place. And staff is in support of the proposed change. And of course, if the board has any questions, I will gladly take those at this time.
Board have questions for Kendrick? Thank you, sir. What is the pleasure of the board on this item?
I make a motion that we adopt the consistency statement that is, and that we recommend to the Board of Aldermen to approve this.
Okay.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any items for new business? Okay. About staff comments?
I think just the only mention I have, Mr. Chairman, is There was a subdivision that came in that was supposed to be on for the next meeting. Of course, now with that transition and based on the text amendment, I don't believe we're going to see that. So thus far, I don't have anything at this very moment. I'm hesitant to cancel the meeting right now until we can make sure that we're not going to have anything.
Roger
But I will
that.
definitely let you all know and send out a cancellation notice if it is canceled.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so sir, now is your time. Public comment, usually limit this to 4 minutes. So state your name, address, however you want to go.
Sure. My name is Barry Hudwanick. I'm the owner of BCJ Development. Just a little one-man shop trying to build something here in New Bern. Over the past year, I've been buying vacant lots in the RDC. I currently own 6, and I'm getting ready to close on 2 more. My goal with the lots is to build affordable workforce housing with a couple of small home plans I have. And I'm working on building my first one right now on Main Street. The reason why I'm here today is I have been working with Kendrick and Jessica a little bit. I have an issue where I am trying to divide some of my lots in such a way that I can put more than just one house on it, in order to maximize the efficiency of each lot, provide more housing, keep the rent down. The problem I'm having is either the lots won't accept multiple houses because of the square footage limits, or I can divide them, still be within the RDC's minimum lot sizes, but because they're not located directly on the street, I can't do that because of access issues, because I can't use a driveway as access. So what I'm asking is some help I'm assuming it would have to be some type of code change in order to allow a driveway to be access for my lots, or change the minimum square foot density in the RDC. And I'm only asking in the RDC. And I have some sketched plot plans that I can share with you, and also my first house plans for the tiny home on Main Street, if y'all would like to see them.
Sure. Yeah, we'd like to.
Sorry, I only have one copy.
It's all right.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, your name again,
Barry Hudwanick.
Newant?
Hudwanick.
Got it.
I live over in James City.
Okay. I grew up over there, I know it well.
I'm from Pamlico.
Got it.
Don't hold it against me.
Try not.
Kendrick, does our recommendation on item D pertain at all to this request?
Not that I'm aware of. You could say that they kind of go hand in hand in some ways. As far as for the position of staff, which we have worked extensively with Mr. Berry as well, as I understand it, it's not something that we can support at this very moment. Not based on what we've tried to look into as far as for what Mr. Berry is proposing. However, he is allowed to have the ability to come before this board and essentially kind of make his case. So that's essentially why he's providing you with the comments that he is.
So, Ms. Peoples, just to unpack that just a bit more, in the redevelopment area boundary, we have some particularly small lots compared to other younger portions of the city, and the text amendment that you reviewed tonight would relax the dimensional requirements for those lots to apply very minimal setbacks. I think it's 15 front, 5-foot side, 10-foot rear setbacks to all lots in the redevelopment commission area boundary, and any zoning designation, so long as those lots are being used for residential uses. I think what Mr. Hudwanick is proposing or asking you all to consider is relaxing the standards all the more to either allow for lots to be developed without having direct access or frontage on a public street, or to otherwise manipulate the lot size or dimensional standards such that he can develop more densely than we currently allow.
Thank you, that's helpful. If we continue with the Renew Bern process and have the opportunity to consider conditional zoning in the future, would that be a route to explore some of these options being requested?
That's a very good question. That's something I'd like to reflect upon.
Are we anywhere near getting that option?
I'm sorry?
The conditional zoning, are we anywhere near being able to do that?
At
Or is
the
that
present
still-
moment, there is no text before you or any other board for the city of New Bern to enable conditional zoning. I do understand from our Director of Development Services that that is a concept that is being strongly considered in our Renew Bern Comprehensive Land Use Ordinance update.
So could we, on this board, write some type of change to give to the Board of Aldermen to consider? Is that what we're being asked here? Or what, like, how can I help this gentleman, should we decide to help this gentleman?
I think what Mr. Hadawanik is asking you to do is to consider what he's asking.
Right.
After you have an opportunity to consider it, reflect upon it, debate it amongst yourselves, if there's anything that you want to do, perhaps we can add this to your next agenda for you all to consider, not just his request, but how that request might impact the larger redevelopment commission boundary. You might elicit some input from the redevelopment commission itself. That is another board that obviously has a great stake in managing growth and development and density. And there may be some considerations that are unique to the redevelopment commission boundary that they might be experts in that might be helpful in you considering, the appropriateness of Mr. Hadawanik's request. And also you have, I think, some staff recommendations that he's worked with staff, and at this time, this is not a concept that city staff currently advocates for. So you may want to have, look at his sketches, reflect upon his comments, and then, at a later date, have a more robust discussion after you had an opportunity to do your homework.
Would it be prudent for a gentleman to speak to the redevelopment commission? Would that?
I think Mr. Hadawanik has.
I was here last night.
Right,
Presenting
okay.
the same thing to him.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Is there a way, I know Kendrick's got a lot on his plate, is there a way that we could get these plans perhaps sent to the board, or any other correspondence that's been shared out so that Kip and others could see it?
Absolutely. I can do that for you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to do that as quickly as I can. I worked, like I said, extensively with Mr. Berry in terms of emailing back and forth. So I'm sure you have the PDF.
Yeah, he's been great. I really appreciate it. I'm completely ignorant when it comes to this stuff. I don't have a background in this. I'm trying to do this from the start.
Right. Really appreciate it, and I always sing Kendrick's praises, so that's good to hear. Okay, well, let's table that item, but keep us honest on it, and we'll see what we can do with that.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All righty. Last item then is adjournment. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I have a motion. I have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.